Are you ready to unlock your full potential? Motivational speaker, coach, God lover, and goal crusher Joe Rivera brings you inspiring leaders, incredible stories, and valuable lessons on how you can change, grow, and reforge your life. Now, here's your host, Joe Rivera.
What up, what up, what up, what up? Welcome back to the Reforge Your Life show. I'm your host, Joe Rivera. Hope everyone's having a productive and profitable week. And today, man, I got a special guest on the show. I'm so glad that he's going to be on. Lou Diamond is my guest. And, man, Lou Diamond's a professional speaker, sales and leadership consultant, award-winning podcaster, and two-time best-selling author. Lou's made his life's work to help business leaders and brands thrive through the power of connecting. Lou, man, I'm so glad that you were able to jump on today, man. Thanks again for being here, brother.
Joe, truly a pleasure. I love this new platform you've got going on, and I love what you are all about. So excited to have a conversation with you today.
Oh, man, thanks, brother. I want to kick things off for all our listeners. You got an inspiring story. Nobody tells it better than you can. So can you please share with the listeners how you got to where you are today?
Yeah. I've been that person that's always trying to figure out what connections I can make next. I've literally been obsessed with figuring out how I can connect and establish relationships throughout my life. From my family members to my early friends to when I went to university to when I started working. To me, it was like adding more people into this globe and understanding what kept people connected, how we'd be able to work that way. And needless to say, as somebody that loves to make connections, that led me into a career of sales. Started off in my dad's retail jewelry store, worked on Wall Street, worked in institutional sales. Even before Wall Street, I actually worked in some of the businesses that built the first websites, and I was in charge of all of the accounts and client management and growing the sales because my natural inclination was how I could bring that organization into the world that I was in. That was always been what I've been about. But so obsessed with the connections that I knew that even when I made a connection, I wanted to figure out how I could keep it. I didn't want to lose it. I wanted to hold on to it. And when I did, I was trying to figure out what went wrong and what could be done to avoid such a thing. It turned out that the answer, ironically, for how I can continue to build the connections I wanted in my life required me to do something that I do every single day and now do on a podcast show a couple of times a week, and that's to have a really great conversation. It's where every connection begins. And I learned very carefully, Joe, that it's not what you say in a conversation, nor is anything you have to do, but it's how you need to be. If you think about the way that you need to be in every conversation, that's where you connect with someone. And if you figured out what those connections mean, when you tap into someone's soul, when you understand what they care about, you know what their problems are, when you know what they love, what they cherish, what they trust, when you're able to tap into that, you build a bond that lasts forever. You can't do it with everybody initially. It's something you have to work on and practice every single day. It has literally been what I've been obsessed with, and recognize that the conversation you and I are having right now is growing a connection. Conversation that you have in business with a prospect grows the connection. Your conversation you have with a significant other, your most important person in your world, your children, builds those connections. So having conversations in today's world where we're really disconnected, we're not having enough conversations. My job is to help people have better ones and know how they need to be every single time. That's what I've been focusing my whole life on, and now helping others to do the same.
Yeah, man, connections is so powerful in being able to grow, because the people we connect with, the relationships we build, they become a piece of what we're building. Yeah. And we become a piece of what they're building. I mean, those connections don't happen for no reasons. You know what I mean? That everything happens for a reason, especially when you connect with someone on that level.
And when you think about I know a lot of the guests you've had on your show have they've hit hard times and they've had to really build things and put stuff together. When things have broken apart and hitting rock bottom, I guarantee you they were not having those connecting conversations beforehand. There were a lot of other issues, a lot of other factors, but things were keeping them from connecting with others. And I asked the question, what brings people back together? What helps to reforge them? Talking about it, connecting with someone who has a shared experience, knowing that openness and honesty that comes through when you make a great connection. Oh my God, that's so powerful. And that's exactly what reforges us. These connections are the linchpins that hold us together. And one conversation, by the way, will start to build a connection. Imagine having another and how that builds and the bonds that get connected with all the people in your world, how valuable that is. The listeners who are involved in this interview right here, who are checking out this episode, they're kind of like a fly on a wall. And even this conversation, even though they're not talking in it, is connecting with them too. So the value of this great content that you're creating is helping everybody reforge what they do. And it has been one of the key aspects of what I've been helping top leaders and performers is usually I'm brought in when things aren't going so well and the conversations aren't happening. How many instances you hear about leaders can't keep their people in their organization. They keep losing them. Their retention is just at an all-time low in a lot of businesses. A lot of it is because they're not having the conversations that need to be had, or they not knowing how they need to be, which I call the speakeasy methodology on how you can connect in every conversation.
I think a big problem with that is some people have problems with being able to have those tough conversations.
Yeah.
And they shy away from those tough conversations because you said they're not speaking to their leaders about the important things to be able to keep them there. And a big reason is because some of these big companies or even, entrepreneurs have issues with being able to have that tough conversation because they didn't learn how to connect with people properly, and you mentioned something before about, the guest on the show being able, hitting rock bottom and not connecting. It's connecting with the right people too, right? Because I know a thing or two about hitting rock bottom, and my connections were with the wrong people, right? When I hit my rock bottom, I wasn't connecting with people who are going to help elevate me and take me to that next level and help me catapult myself into my future. Because I'm a big believer, man. You are who you surround yourself with, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not connecting with the right people, then you're not going to get to places that you want to be. So I'm curious, because you're amazing with connecting with people. What do you do to kind of weave out the people that you're not meant to connect with and connect and stay connected with the right people?
Beautiful question. First of all, I want to explain that when I do my speakeasy talk, I share the 6 ways you need to be to connect in every conversation. And this is a tool that you can use. But you do make a very important point. Who we're connecting with is valuable in our lives. What do we want to bring into our world? And this is kind of an assessment, right? Like when you see someone that's doing something impressive or really they're an expert in their field, that's somebody that you can learn from. You might see somebody doing some bad things. You might not want to connect with that particular part of them, right? Which is sometimes a good assessment of like, well, how much can I trust this person? Is this someone I want in my world, what they're doing? I'm a big fan, Joe, of making sure that I start off with the first way I need to be is, and I start asking questions. And the way I like to say this is the way you need to be is to be listening, to be asking and listening. Asking and listening together is curiosity, to be curious. The first way I ever connect with anybody is I need to assess the person I'm with. I want to ask a ton of questions. It's no different than a first date, right? There's certain things you like when you meet somebody else. There's certain things you don't like. And usually you need to ask those questions. And after that first encounter, you kind of know if this is someone you want to hang out with again. Is this someone you want to have a second date with? And if there's certain answers to those questions you asked that don't necessarily resonate with you, or might be a little trouble, or might not be the exact bridge you're willing to want to cross, might not be worth adding and continuing the conversation. I stress that you don't judge everything by your initial first cover, right? You got to open the book and peel through some of the pages to learn about somebody. But the only way you could do that is through being curious, a true, open, honest curiosity. And the more you embrace that, the better.
Yeah, I mean, curiosity, man, that's a big piece of growth. You got to stay curious out there. And so, speaking of curiosity, because I'm curious, when being able to connect on the level that you connect on, to do what you do, there had to be at some point some limited beliefs and fears that you had to move through in order to be able to connect with people on that level, and just have those conversations and be curious and be open-minded and be outgoing. So what fears did you have to crack through and limited beliefs?
So one of the ways you need to connect in every conversation is fearless. And I'm using it and breaking the word up intentionally. I want to make it clear. Being fearless does not mean being void of fears. In fact, it's knowing what fears you have and moving through them into courage. To go talk to a complete stranger at a networking event, or even a first-time business meeting, or think of a cold caller trying to speak to someone for the first time, it's very uncomfortable. There's a step and a leap forward that you have to go through. And I've worked through all those fears, by the way. The fear of failure, of being told no, the fear of maybe, I'm not good enough if I'm not an expert, that, imposter syndrome. All of these things will jump into you, and you have to recognize what those fears are. What I do when it comes to any fears I face is I have this 3-step process. 1, name the fear. When that feeling is coming and I feel, I might not be the right person to say that I'm an expert in something, or I might fail and hear the word no, because they're going to say no if I'm in sales or make a relationship with me, or they may not want to go on that second date with me. I have to understand that that's present in the room. So 1 is know the fear and give it a name. And then 2, take that fear, once you know what that name is, know where it hits you and where it feels you, recognize it. And when you recognize it, the 3rd step is to flip the fear in its head. Let's talk about hearing the word no. The salesperson's worst nightmare initially, right? You and I both like baseball, and I think we all know that the best baseball players fail 70% of the time. They only get hits 3 out of 10 times. And if they're the New York Mets, it's a lot less than that sometimes, because we're both Met fans here, Joe. But as it comes out, we need to hear no's to get the yeses that we want. My whole goal when it comes to fear, and I'm afraid someone's going to not want to do business with me, I actually get excited because I want to get to know faster. That's me moving through that fear into courage, because I need to get that no so I could check it off and I could focus on the ones that are still going to be yeses. So for me, when a conversation and I'm not connecting and it's not driving through, 1, I'm probably not being fearless. I'm not knowing what my fears are and doing a little bit less of them. I'm not recognizing what they are. I'm not giving them the name. And I'm probably also not moving through that fear into the place of courage, which in that sales example is, hey, I got to get to know. No is okay. I want to hear that now. When I do get through those fears and I recognize them, I also seem more confident, recognize that it's okay if I hear no. And by the way, I sometimes love to even flip that around and tell somebody no. Yeah, Lou, I'm really interested in doing this. I'm like, you know what? Right now is not the good time. I'm a little busy. For business people out there listening, go see how powerful telling somebody no is and see how often they will be like, wait a minute. Why is he saying no to me? Right? Helping people recognize what fears they have and how to move through them, and being fearless is every day we live in our lives. It is not just getting through a fear once. It is getting through it every day, because those fears are real and they live there. The limiting beliefs are the signs that a real fear is behind it. I can't do this. I won't do this. Or they're not going to do business with me. Or she's not going to go on a date with me. Those are limiting beliefs embedded in a fear that we can move through into courage. Be fearless. And that's the way that I approach every conversation, with that understanding what the fear is, recognize it, and move through it. Flip it on its head. Step into that next level.
Yeah, man. I love the fear less, breaking it up into two words, because facing those fears is vital to overcome them. I always say, you can look at fear two ways. It could be fuck everything and run, or face everything and reforge.
I love that.
and a big fear, you're right, with a lot of people in sales is that word no. And
I love no.
I love no too, because it gets you closer to the yes. That's when the sale begins. Nobody says yes on the first go round. 99% of the time, you're gonna have to go through those rebuttals. You're gonna have to go through the guy saying no. So realizing that and looking forward to that no is a big way of facing it and overcoming it. And man, those limited beliefs, you hit on the button. They're what gets in the way of that first no. And Absolutely. Being able to overcome that no.
Yeah.
But
it is an important way in every conversation. Remember, sometimes we fear talking about something. One of what we call the speakeasy bar menu items we have, we call it the 800-pound gorilla. It's the favorite conversation flight that we have in speakeasy. It's that uncomfortable conversation, right? A lot of times we're afraid to have the uncomfortable conversation. And just knowing that gulp in your throat, the nerves in your belly, that just ability that's holding you back. We all know, though, if we don't have the uncomfortable conversation, it's going to fester and it's going to continue to grow. That's why we call it the 800-pound gorilla. It's just going to be this monster in the room. The formula for dealing with that conversation is to just deal with it right away. Just take a big glass and deal with it. Chug it down, swallow that gulp in your throat, and have the conversation that needs to be had, the uncomfortable one. I'm not happy the way you're performing at work. I'm uncomfortable with the way our relationship is going. I'm really offended by what you said the other day. These are all the things that are those conversations you have with business folks, people you love, your peers, that affect you each and every day. It is about having that conversation and addressing it right away that is so important, because the longer that festers, the bigger it's going to get and other problems are going to derive. Address it, settle it, move on.
Absolutely. And man, for the listeners out there, he just dropped a jewel. I hope everybody picked up, man. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Have those uncomfortable conversations. Get them out of the way. Get it out of your system so that you can move forward and start really unlocking your fullest potential. Because without getting out of your comfort zone, you're never going to do that.
True.
So, Lou, as far as the core values that guide you to help you be able to bounce back, to be able to because we all have bad days. Shit get, this ride to success, it's not a straight ride up top. There's going to be bumps in the road. We have to learn how to navigate through those bumps in the road to really be able to unlock our fullest potential. And I believe that our core values are something that we kind of hold on to and put out there in order to be able to persevere and bounce back. So what core values do you live by that help you in those difficult times?
I have a bunch, but there's an acronym I use, which is advice I give to other speakers, to other leaders, to other podcasters. It's an expression I say, connect your voice. It's actually the routine that I do before every conversation I have in my life. I connect my voice, VOICE. And I do this because it represents a lot of the things that are important to me. V, have a vision of how you want that conversation to go. I could translate that to have a vision to how you want your life to go. Always be moving forward. I'm about thriving, right? Sometimes we get stuck, but it's about moving forward that enables us to move onward and upward. So having the vision of where you want to go is important. Every day on this planet, every conversation you have in this life is a gift. So the O in connect your voice is to appreciate the opportunity you get to have a conversation with anybody in this world any day. We're so busy, Joe. We have such crazy schedules. This right now, me and you talking, our listeners listening to this is a gift that they're receiving and we're getting to give. We are sharing our brilliance and gifts with the world, which is all we ever really want, right? Is to unearth that brilliance from somebody. So appreciate every conversation you get to have with anybody. Cherish it, treat it that way, and show that mutual respect back with them. I is identity. In my helping people prep for a conversation, it's know the identity you need to be in every conversation, but I'm going to simplify it for my purpose and my goals in life. My core values about I is know who I am. I am in order. I am a husband, father, friend, and somebody that loves to help people. That's what I do. Everything revolves around that identity. And if I'm not doing that every day, I'm not living my purpose. And the C and E go together, my friend. It's to unleash your charisma and energy in everything you do. Charisma is to unleash your superpowers into the world in every conversation you have and every day you live on this planet. Be that person and share something that's inside of you with everyone else. And E, do it with a little energy. Because make it clear, nobody, Joe, wants to connect with a dud. That's my motto, connect your voice in just about everything I do.
Energy attracts like energy, man. Man, voice, what a powerful acronym that is. And something that you kind of hold dear to yourself to remind yourself when things might get a little uncomfortable and things might get, we challenging or whatever it is, that comes our way. Life's going to throw those curveballs, and that voice acronym could definitely help out with that. I wrote that down, so I'm definitely going to utilize that in some certain times, So, Lou, what's important to your soul? What do you hold dear to that heart of yours?
It's funny. I used to think that I was a little more higher thinking, that there's a higher spirit, that there's a God. I don't know all the answers, but I know that having spoken to thousands of people hosting a show and finding out what they're passionate about, I've met people who are incredibly faithful to a God, some people who believe in an inner power and energy, some people who feel that life is, the analogy from Forrest Gump, we're just floating around on a wind and we'll take what the universe comes to you. The longer I've lived and the more people I have conversations with, I've learned it's everything. It's the higher power, the soul, the spirit that you have. It's what matters to you uniquely. You're going to figure out what that might be, and everybody has a different answer. There's no wrong answers. What's awesome is that you can choose in this life what is that extra spirit, but you must recognize that it does exist because it's there in some fashion. And if we really knew what that answer was, well, we would have all just bottled it and figured out how to tap into it when we need to. The reality is that everybody's got their own gig at their own time and what matters to them. To me, family, at the end of the day, is what is my core and my biggest belief. It's the number one priority. This is from my own immediate family, my children and my wife, to my siblings and their kids and my parents and so forth, which makes sense, Joe, when you think about it, since I'm so passionate about connection, because if I kept bringing that chain all the way out, I would pretty much loop in the whole world, right? Because we're all connected in some form or fashion. I do believe there is an energy that does connect us all. And when we pay attention to it and we respect and appreciate it, man, that's what it's all about, because I learn something every day. And you can transpose your beliefs in a higher power or beliefs in an energy or force around you, and it could all be just a different language that you're using. I think it's, to your very well-worded description, it's our soul. It's what our soul connects to and how we connect to that soul.
Yeah, man, you definitely touched the nerve of mine. My spirituality is something I hold dear to my heart.
Yep.
And you know, making sure that whatever you want to call it, God, the universe, infinite intelligence, you want to call it the tree outside, whatever it is, something you're connecting to that you realize is greater than yourself, that's going to help you be able to unlock your fullest potential. Something that you could build a relationship with and be able to lean into through those difficult times, right? Because you could lean into faith or you could lean into fear. I say it all the time. You know, they're both the same thing. You're believing something that's there, something you can't touch, something you can't feel, but you know it exists. Yeah. So, I mean, I'd much rather lean into faith than fear any day of the week, right? And man, when you say that we're all connected, it's so true. You know, there's
Yeah, I think we're dancing around something, and I'm just going to add to this. Joe, I believe that not only are we all connected, but if you really took the blimp view and the blimp went up to space and looked even further than that, we're probably all just one really small organism all connected in one little view, right? There's something to that. But based on where we are or what time of the world we came in, what our environment is, will help us put the language around what that spirituality is. From the family we've come from and how we've grown up to maybe the experiences we've had, and which is the gift that I've received in connecting with so many people over the years, is asking that question as to what matters to them, like you are, where is that spirituality, and hearing the vocabulary that they use to describe it. And it's really cool. What really frustrates me is a level of, I want to use this word carefully, it's a level of ignorance around the world. For years, people have been fighting over it, killing each other over it. Whether, I believe in this and you believe in that, and this is the way it is and this isn't. Really? You're all coming from the same place. Just figure out how you could all get along and recognize and appreciate what one believes and what another believes. That is what matters. You do that, we're all going to make our way towards more peace. That is for sure. And that's inner peace, world peace, the whole bit. We will, the respect and appreciation of others is what is needed on this planet. And have a conversation about it, because that's how you're going to be able to figure out what someone else believes and what they care about.
You just nailed on the head exactly the difference between spirituality and religion.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It's knowing that we could all be treated equally. You could believe in whatever you want to believe in. I could believe in whatever I want to believe in, but we're all connected in some way.
Yeah.
Just because you have different beliefs doesn't mean the connection's not the same. Why do you think that sometimes you mentioned something else about family, right? And how family's so important to you. Family's one of my biggest core values. But I'm also a believer in family doesn't have to be someone that's blood related. It could be why do you think that sometimes we connect with people that we're not blood related with on such a deep level? Because we're all connected in some way. And when you're able to show someone that love, respect, and realize that they're human the same way you are, that's when you start really connecting with people on another level and really understanding that spiritual power that we all have inside of us.
Agreed. And by the way, we have one. We've been dancing around it, but listeners need to know we both are passionate about our baseball team, and we both know this, that when they have a win and there's a celebration and a joyous occasion or whatever it might be, everybody who's on that same wavelength feels it, and there's an energy, and it's really great, which is what makes sports and fandom so passionate, because we're tapping into something that group of people all connects with. Now, some people might get a little crazy with it. No different than they can get with religion, but it is a spirit and an energy that everyone is sharing in the spirit of it all, which I always appreciate. And can either put a smile or commiserate with. It's just a chance to do both. Little yin and yang.
It could ruin your whole week.
It could ruin your week.
Conversation. Lou, I'd love for you to tell the listeners what you have going on now, what it is you're doing, so that they know where they could find you.
Absolutely. Anyone wants to learn more about me, social media, website, you go to Thrive Loud, ThriveLoud, either .com or at any one of those the channels. You'll find me there. And that's where you can learn about all the things about connecting, my book Speakeasy, and maybe most relevant to where we are now, Thrive Loud Productions, where I'm helping to connect the voices of so many other amazing, thriving people who are producing their own shows, like this very one we're listening to right now, Joe Rivera's amazing show here, Reforge Your Life. So if you're interested in producing a show or learning how you can extend your brand and connect with others, head on over to thriveloud.com.
Awesome, and I could definitely vouch that he does an awesome job, because he's doing a great job on mine. And Lou, 2 questions that I ask all my guests. Number one, what does the word purpose mean to you?
I'm the first thing that came to my mind was purpose, was like mission. To me, my purpose and my mission on this planet is to exchange the currency of connection, which is help. How can I help and be of service to someone else? My purpose on this planet is to serve others, to help them so they can connect with what matters most to them. That is what I know I'm really good at, and I could show them how they can be better connecting to give back to others. So I think purpose/mission is all about connecting with others and helping people exchange this currency of help, be of service.
Yeah, I mean, man, that's purpose in a nutshell. Beautifully said. And when you could have that mission to help other people, that's something we have in common. It's truly a blessing, and that's another spiritual component, man.
Oh yeah,
is realizing that, you know, our story doesn't belong to us. You know, we got to go out there and share these gifts that God has blessed us with the world, and sometimes He gives us those assignments, and man, if you don't miss them and you start really paying attention to those assignments and fulfilling them, the blessings just keep coming back. And man, it's
to double click on that, Joe. When I'm helping other people produce great content like this show or my podcast or other content and stuff I'm dealing with, to know that the message that's being shared from that content that's being created is going to help one person, it's worth everything. It's worth the effort. It's worth the delivery. And I say this to all the people who are like, yeah, is anyone going to listen to this stuff I'm coming out with? Or a professional speaker comes to me and is trying to change the way that they speak in their message to connect to their audience. I love the work that gets to be done so we can figure out how we are going to help that one person. That's all we need, is just one. It could be a whole army of people, but one listener to this show, if something resonated with them and it helped them in just a little way, we're living our purpose.
It all starts with one.
Yeah.
It starts with one. Just it starts with one no to that yes, right?
Exactly.
It's one person. One person. You got to help one person in order to be able to get to help a million. So you take it one person at a time, and you know, the doors will continue to open and mountains will continue to move. And Lou, when you hear the word reforge, what comes to mind?
It's really funny. for the listeners, we got to get involved with the artwork you'll see for Joe's show on Reforge Your Life. And we had a meeting with our team, and you could see there's like this reforging of two of parts of Joe. The image is reforged together, and it's like bringing things back together, which the word came to me was reforge is to reconnect. And I think you could challenge that in any way. You could take it to reconnecting to yourself, reconnecting to your soul, reconnecting to the ones that matter to you, reconnecting to your purpose, reconnecting to that higher spirit and that spiritual power. I think Reforge is about bringing back together again. That's the thing. It was together once. We are bringing it back together again because maybe something kept us apart. It's appreciating the connection and the reconnection every day. That to me is that's what it means to me.
Yeah. To reconnect. At some point, we all gotta reforge some part of our life. Everybody has to go through it. Nobody's immune to it. It happens to everyone, and it's about learning how to put those pieces together to be able to reconnect again.
Amen.
Love it. Lou, man, this has been awesome. I really thank you for being on the show, and I'm thankful for all the listeners out there. Man, and you mentioned baseball a couple of times, so I got to say, man, I'm so glad we got Soto. Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets, baby. LFMG.
LFMG, let's go, baby. I'm grateful for you being on here, though, again, Lou, man. Thanks a lot for coming through.
Truly, my pleasure, man. Thank you for having me.
Everyone, you guys all have a productive, profitable rest of the week, and stay blessed, man. Keep going strong.
You've been listening to Reforge Your Life with your host, Joe Rivera. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. To learn more about Joe Rivera and how he can help you or your organization reforge your life and regain your place at the top, head on over to withjoerivera.com and follow Joe on all social platforms. The Reforge Your Life podcast was produced by Thrive Loud Productions. Thanks for listening.